Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tactical Insight Show. Arsenal win at Goodison for the first time since 2017. Back in the Lacazette, Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil days, would you believe it? Arsene Wenger was the manager. But Arsenal, with former Everton player Mikel Arteta, managed to get a really important win. It was only 1-0, but there was so much to really enjoy about that performance. I'm here with debutant on Tactical Insight. It is Nick. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
It's fantastic to have you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. You said previous Everton player. I didn't realise Arteta was twice Player of the Year for Everton as well.
Was he?
He was, yeah.
I always rated him when he was there. When we signed him, I was quite happy about it.
Yeah.
So I'm even happier he's our manager.
100%.
Has he been a better manager or player for us?
He was I don't know. He was the captain of the team that broke the 9-year trophy curse. So that was huge. That is true. That was huge, yeah.
Yeah, got to respect that. Of course, we wish Graham all the best on his travels. He is, I think, currently in Washington, having an amazing holiday and deserved holiday. You guys don't know the work that Graham puts in behind the scenes. One day I might actually just expose it all, the messages I get at 2 a.m. with all the notes and all the work. So Graham, hope you have an amazing holiday, and obviously we look forward to having you back. And Nick, it'd be great to sort of do bigger shows where more of us can contribute. We'll get the sofas out and we can do real specials on Tactical Insight. So let's get into it. Arsenal beat Everton 1-0, and we start where we always start, which is with the match stats, and we have a look at these numbers here. 13 shots for Arsenal to Everton's 8, 4 on target to their 1, 74% possession, and it certainly fell that way. 600 plus passes to their 200 plus passes. A field tilt, everyone's enjoying this field tilt graphic and stat that's popping up a lot. 78% for us, and an XG of 1.16 to their 0.34. I think the XG, it feels like maybe we were a little bit more dominant, but not all our really good football is resulting necessarily in real chance creation. But there was such an improvement in the second half after a promising foundation from the first half, but second half we ramped it up.
Yeah, for sure. All the stats in the second half are much better. The shot stats, the chance creation, the XG. I think Everton were, I don't want to say flat, but they had like a one tempo. They didn't really get out of second or third gear. Their stats are pretty consistent across the first and second half, but I think it's a big tick box for Arteta that clearly the team sort of got into them and there were a lot more shots. I think Fabio Vieira skied one pretty much in the first action in the second half, but it just showed straight away that intensity was there, and there was a clear uptick in output from the team in the second half.
Yeah, I remember thinking in that first minute or two, that second half, we could have gone ahead. I think Eddie Nketiah had a big chance at one point, and Arsenal suddenly started to look more penetrative, but there were things to really like about the team. Before we even talk about the individual performances, I mean, we need to just sort of take note of the actual 11, because Arteta threw surprises at us. David Raya comes in the team. We're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation a little bit later. Some fascinating quotes from Mikel Arteta. Another one which really surprised me, Fabio Vieira. And you know what, Nick, I feel like an idiot. I feel like an idiot because we went to Newcastle, very physical team, who had real energy in the midfield three, and we outplayed them. And Arteta said, you try and go physicality for physicality, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So we have to get our best ball players, and that's why Jorginho played so well, and that's how we stepped up. So he'd given us the clue there that he might opt for a Vieira, better on the ball than Havertz, not as much of a space invader in the way Havertz is supposedly meant to be. So I don't know why I was surprised. I don't know, I was in all the previews saying, Vieira, can he deal with the Goodison physicality? He didn't look a step out of place, did he?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to this man here. A lot of it comes down to Declan Rice. You know, you have to give him huge credit. He's played in the midfield free without much physicality from Vieira or Erdegaard. Yeah. He's taken all of that responsibility on. And I was exactly the same as you. I thought, surely this is Havertz. I wouldn't have been surprised to see us go Havertz up top like Man City, go for that physicality. But we didn't, and we really dominated. It was 1-0, but it's about as dominant a 1-0 as you're going to see. And I say, Rice sitting there really with Zinchenko inverting, creating that platform for Fabio Vieira to go on. And there's a point where we've got Vieira on after the injury to Martinelli. We had Trossard on, Erdegaard. We've got some of our best ball players and best kind of, not dead ball specialists from a free kick set piece perspective, but the people that you want striking a ball, especially when we had Jesus on towards the end as well. We had 3 or 4 of the best ball strikers, in my opinion, in this team, and some of the best ball strikers in the league, really on the pitch at the same time. So we were in a position where if we create a chance, because we knew we're playing good football, we're dominating the ball, but we're not creating many chances, and we needed to be in a position where when we do create a chance, it's a goal. Yeah. And for that, we're going to need maybe Jesus over Nketiah, we're going to need Vieira maybe over Havertz, and ultimately Trossard is obviously the one that went and got the goal, and what a finish it was.
Yeah, it was a great finish, I agree. You're so right about getting the ball strikers. There was actually a moment in the game where I was thinking to myself, I mean, any one of them, I'm happy for them to leather it because Ødegaard can strike. There was actually one moment in the first half, quite early on, where Ødegaard actually went for a slip-through ball to Saka. I think he was looking for this kind of run here in between Mykolenko and Branthwaite. And actually, I thought the ball was a cross goal to Vieira to hit it. But actually, Arsenal did work a lot of those chances really, really well. I want to talk to you about the dynamic on the left-hand side because it's been missing a little bit in the time that Kivior started left-back, Tomiyasu started left-back, Timber for 60 minutes. We miss you. You're in. You know, and in this game, Arsenal started to look far more penetrative down that side. We mentioned Vieira. What did you make of Zinchenko's impact on the game, but also how he was combining with Vieira and Martinelli?
Huge. I mean, he's one of the most technical players. You know, I think Zinchenko's one of the most technical players at the club. Possibly the most technical player at the club. I think maybe he's let down because we're in a very athletic era in football, especially against an athletic team like Everton, and he doesn't have the pace, the physicality. But in terms of sitting in a sort of quarterback position, you know, taking up these types of positions, just as soon as he starts to invade the opposition half, he can start to pick out passes. And with Rice and Vieira kind of giving him a little bit of cover, he's got time to look at those passes, and I think you've got a graphic of his passes which we'll get to at some
you're
point.
right. Let's get them up now. You're spot on because what strikes me, and we have to flip it, everyone. So now we're looking left to right. So it's different to how it was before. But what strikes me is how many. In fact, let's try and just show it here. We'll get the trusted circle. Let's do it in yellow so you can all see it very clearly. Is how many of the passes. I'm just showing where the end of the arrow is, where he's finding them in that sort of 10 space. There's a cluster of them here. There's a couple here. I remember, actually, do you know what? Let's just show this whole box here. How many times he is sort of getting them into these really penetrative areas. There's another one there, another one there.
He's playing the passes before the final action passes, right? So he's assisting the assister a lot of the time. There are times, there's one lovely ball over the top that he sent through for
Trossard, I think it was,
it was really, really lovely and just caught out the defence. And what we did really well was just tease. We know that they're going to sit deep, but what we did really, really well is hold the ball, not force the pass, and just tease their block out. They weren't really pressing aggressively, but as soon as they came and pressed in this space here, just outside the 18-yard box, the timing of the passes was really good, and that's what you get with Fabio Vieira and Ødegaard on the pitch, as opposed to maybe a Havertz. And I think Havertz has that ability, but I think obviously we know he's struggling for a little bit of confidence at the moment, and this game actually turned out to be tailor-made for Fabio Vieira. But we were talking about the starting 11, and I was very similar to you. I thought this could be a problem, especially after what happened back in February. Doucouré, Onana, I think Onana was man of the match that day, completely ran the show. But Fabio Vieira dealt with coming in to start really, really well. Yeah,
he did, I agree. And this slightly lighter blue pass, and we'll just highlight where it ends up. That's a ball from Zinchenko to Vieira where he puts on his right foot, gets a shot away. I think Vieira's probably hoping probably expecting you to do better with that shot normally, but again, it's finding that pocket. And again, we talk about that cluster as basically so good at getting in and going, I will put you in front of goal. I'll get my 10s and my creators into the areas they need to be. Don't be the deep lying playmaker. I'll take that on from left back. And we have analysed this on this show before, but I just think it's worth reminding people, not just, he's done it once, so there we go. The fact that he's able to deliver it, whether it's at home to Newcastle, he did it very well, or home to Man United, he did it brilliantly. And now where Goodison, where Arsenal didn't implement this football so well last season, this was much, much improved. But we talk about the left-hand side, another player, I say another player, we've just been talking about the whole time. It is Fabio Vieira. The other thing he was offering with this width, and we just bring everyone back forward, Eddie Nketiah. Well, Vieira I felt was doing really well by floating in these spaces, and so disingenuous having Martinelli there because it was obviously Trossard for a lot of the game. But if we just move everyone forward, like we said, Zinchenko gets into this area. When, it's so difficult to stop Arsenal's wingers because if you're going to come across, you're asking Danjuma to come back and support, but then that gives Zinchenko all the freedom in the world to do whatever he wants to do. So if you are going to stay narrow, and we're going to talk about the average positions a little bit later, it's really interesting, and Young is coming across, either Tarkowski vacates that more centre-back position, really in front of goal, just dealing with whatever comes into the box, or he stays, or he has to vacate it and deal with Vieira. But the fact that question is always asked means that when this ball comes, let's get football out. There we go. No. There we go. When Martinelli has this ball, and we saw it a few times, Vieira is really good at making that run in beyond. And it just, Tarkowski might get across after, but that is such a threatening position
100%.
because it causes such havoc whether you just lash it across goal. There was one moment, I think it was a ball over the top. I can't remember who played the pass, maybe Trossard or Zinni, I can't remember, where he just lashed it across goal. Vieira, sometimes he was getting there and actually trying to pick out across.
Should have gambled for it, but he wasn't quite there. Yeah, for sure. And obviously last season we had Granit Xhaka in this position. He had his best goal scoring season for Arsenal, I think 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah.
Now we've got Vieira. He's up there with Martinelli, Saka, and Ødegaard for most GA per minute for the minutes that he plays, considering he's not a starter of anybody in the team since he signed for the club, despite playing a bit of bits and pieces here and there. So if he can work his way into getting a consistent run of games, then he really can be that goal force. And like you say, one of the battles I was looking at the beginning of the game was Martinelli against Young. I know Martinelli obviously went off with the thigh injury after the goal, and I'm sure you'll come on to that. But I thought this is a battle which we can really, really win. Saka's played against Mykolenko a couple of times. He's been able to do a bit against him, but Mykolenko seems to enjoy that battle against Bukayo Saka. But a much older Ashley Young, dealing with the young and pace and directness of Martinelli, that was a key battle. They're going to come out and double up on our wingers, as we know that they do, and that's just going to create so much space for Vieira to drive in. And like I say, you've got Zinchenko here. If Danjuma comes and picks him up, he plays it back. He's got Declan Rice, who's another excellent ball player. And Zinchenko's amazing at sort of mid-range passing. He can do the short passing and the triangles, which we associate with classic Arsenal. And Rice is great for the long-range passing, but Zinni's kind of mid-range passing, picking up little gaps, and as soon as somebody leaves the gap, he can play that ball in and drive it in. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more. But really, really good to see them dominate the game so much against the physical side, and Everton weren't really able to put their game plan into place because of the platform that we created. Yeah, I completely and utterly agree. And I think this is a really interesting quote from Mikel Arteta. It's from a while back, but we saw the Vieira slip ball in behind to Martinelli and the disallowed goal. We won't go into it. Maybe a touch unfortunate, but that ball from Fabio Vieira, where we talk about his final third quality, he delivers it there. And this quote from Arteta, he says, "I think relationships are built in teams and that chemistry comes naturally. And when you see him play with Fabio more together, he has even more chemistry because they love each other so much." Lovely quote. And they have that way of looking at each other and understanding what's going to happen. And you definitely saw that in this game a lot more. Let's run it back with Trossard's goal, because for everything we're saying about the left-hand side, it was Trossard that played more than 60 minutes of the game on the left-hand side, and we perhaps haven't given him enough credit, so it's the time to do it now. He comes on for Martinelli, and before we just break down this goal, I want to read this to you. I think it's really interesting. What is Arteta teaching us in terms of his unpredictability? Raya starting, going with Nketiah when we thought Jesus was fit. He's mixed it up with Rice as an 8, but also Rice as a sitter. Partey at right back. Here are Trossard's minutes played this season. We'll pop up this graphic here. 17 minutes versus Forest. That was a little bit of a surprise because he was so good in pre-season. So he doesn't start, only get 17 minutes. Doesn't come on at all against Palace. Okay, maybe the red card plays a part. Starts against Fulham. We all thinking Eddie's going to keep his place. Starts against Fulham, but he's taken off. He's seen as the reason why we're 1-0 down. Not the reason, but the first thing to change. Doesn't come on against Man United, we're chasing a goal. Tomiyasu, Jorginho, probably to see it out, Jorginho, but Tomiyasu certainly was an attacking change. As was Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, absolutely, Gabriel Jesus. Trossard not seen as one of the players to bring on. But then against Everton, Marte comes off. Who's the first person he turns to? Leandro Trossard. I think this is telling us so much about the way Arteta is looking at who we're up against and what we need. And he's now got this plethora of talent on the bench. He's going, you and your skill set is what I need to get 3 points today. I think, it's 1-0 against Everton, and then, people might think that that's an obvious expected result, but for me, the key word is evolution. It's the evolution of Arteta's style of play. It's the evolution of the squad, that we have multiple. When he first started, it was obvious he did the 60-minute substitutions. It was the same people that came on every week. We knew. 15 he trusted. Exactly. Rob Holding 5-3-1. That's it. Yeah. Now with the players that he's brought in, and bear in mind we do have players out. We still have Partey out, who's a top player on his day. We have Timber out, who is somebody that we're really excited to see. But we still are so tactically flexible. And I think Trossard, a lot of people have said to me they prefer Trossard on the bench, despite, I think a lot of opposition fans say, you got this guy Trossard, he's a goal scorer, he's great, why don't you start him? That's a little bit oversimplifying football. Trossard is so versatile across the front three. He can play in a 10 as well, maybe even in an 8. You can do a bit of everything, that you keep him on the bench because he can come off the pitch. You can give yourself time to assess the game and then see where the best position is going to be. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did tweet that he was out wide and I said we need to work on getting Trossard central.
Yeah.
Gabby Martinelli's really dangerous in these types of positions here when he's cutting back. You see the goal, we took it from a really acute angle, Henry-esque finish. Not that Trossard can't do that, but Trossard can shoot on both feet. He's 2-footed, he's got a bit of feet, he can create an angle. For me, I said we've got to try and work him central, even if it is from wide. Rather than the overlapping runs, we need the underlapping runs and get him central. And the time that he does come central from a really well-worked corner, he gets the goal, first-time finish. And he is so lethal. I do think having him out wide is really, really important, and slowly working him in ghosted runs. And like I say, if you've got one chance in a game in this Arsenal squad, one chance for a goal, he's got to be up there with maybe the main player that you want taking.
I probably don't pick anyone above him, genuinely.
Yeah, and I think Saka, Ødegaard and Jesus are probably knocking on the door, but I think for prolific striking, it's probably got to be Leandro Trossard.
I put Martinelli in there as well. But you said earlier in the show, we've got some brilliant ball strikers. Martinelli, Vieira, Saka, Trossard, Ødegaard can all put their foot through. Even Zinchenko can. Yeah. But even Declan Rice. But what it is about Trossard, and I think you're spot on, there's a great stat from Graham after the Man United game. Jesus' cutback against Dalot, against Man United, turned what was like a 0.25 XG chance into a 0.75. I feel like Trossard does that all the time. He turns what isn't really a great situation, he doesn't have much space, the ball's stuck under his feet, whatever, he turns it into opening his body up and really putting his foot through it. And he almost makes it look easy. And this goal is anything but easy, but because he's so good with both feet and he's so clutch in the finish, he doesn't need many kind of chances or much time to think about what he wants to do. Yeah. It just doesn't surprise me whatsoever. He scored this goal. And let's show it here. So Vieira's got the ball. We've kind of, the corner sort of takes place, it comes out to Vieira. But I wanted to start from this moment here. As you can see, I couldn't be bothered to track every Everton player. I've tracked them, but not the names and everything.
It doesn't matter.
Vieira's there. Now, we are so high, by the way, every Arsenal player is here. Here's Zinny on support. So the ball player wants through, goes out to Zinny, who gives it to Ødegaard, and then it's just rolled nicely to Saka, who cuts it back for Trossard. I love recreating these goals, they're so much fun. Lovely, lovely finish. But what I want to show here, as it's kind of all moving on, is Ødegaard and Saka are quite tight together because they've taken the corner. Trossard's in that space, cool. It comes out to Vieira, who I think does really well to retain the ball and keep this move going. It comes out to Zinny there. Right. Now at this point, Saka's darted inside and is looking at how can I get a bit closer to goal? Is there an underlap? Maybe can it come into my feet? But Ødegaard, this is where it's all about connections, and it goes back to the Arteta quote about understanding each other and forming relationships. Yeah. They've been playing with each other for 2-3 years now. They understand each other. As Saka comes inside, Ødegaard goes, cool. So that's my job to pull wide. Someone's got to hold the width. There's no way Saka's going to have any joy if I'm standing in his way and I'm making it easier for Everton to defend. So when that ball comes out to Ødegaard, he just goes, brilliant. Saka knows exactly where he's going. Yep. And the thing is, there are options here. He could go into Trossard, he could go down the line to Saka, which he goes for, and then bam. And it's just all instinctive. The cutback is signature Arteta. Yep. We have been doing the cutback from day one. It's pretty much one of the earliest tactical things he implemented into this team. And we go and score from another. And we go and score from a player, as I mentioned in that graphic I showed you earlier, has had a lot of bit time football, part-time football, considering how good he was in pre-season, but my word, do you make him count? And that embrace at full time, which we saw between the two, shows you how much Arteta really is putting faith in a real squad now.
I think this finish shows something that's the key difference. You mentioned Jesus against Dalot. Yeah. He dummies him, he cuts in. It's very Jesus. He's a dribbling striker more than a ball hitting striker, if you know what I mean. And he hits the cut in, raises the XG, gets the finish off. Trossard is very different. Yeah. If that's Trossard running onto that ball, he takes the strike. Probably takes strike on his left, possibly beats Dalot and the goalkeeper and scores anyway. And this is another great example of that. You know, he doesn't take it on his right foot. It's coming onto his favoured right foot. He could drive it across the keeper. Instead, he opens his body up to an angle that most people are not doing as a right-footed striker, opens the body up on his weak foot and sends it around the goalkeeper into the top corner. And, you know, he just wants to hit the ball. You know, you just want to get him on the ball and hit the ball. Now, you need a lot of supporting cast to create that space for him. And in a lot of games, because we're Arsenal, because we're known for attacking football, we're going to play against the low block. that space isn't going to be there. Jesus is better at creating that space. But once that space has been opened, once the team gets warm and knows how to manipulate the opposition defence and create that space, that's when Trossard can come on later on in the game and just go and kill games off. And I think that's why we're seeing him come on as a sub and not be a starting player. But he's just so good, and his professionalism is huge. You know, he's not complaining about anything. He's happy to be part of the squad. And I think that's what Arteta is really trying to build into a lot of players, especially with the goalkeeper situation, which I'm sure you'll come on to. But it's such a joy to just see a player take that strike first time, left foot, right foot, and it really gives a defender something to worry about, because how do you deal with him?
Completely and utterly agree with everything you've just said there. Well done, Trossard. Really made an impact and took his opportunity. Now, this, for all the great stuff we've talked about, the combinations, the understanding, all that, what it led to Arsenal looking more fluid, but the chance creation wasn't exactly, you know, we read out the XG. It wasn't 3.4 point something. You know, Arsenal weren't creating an abundance of chances, but they always looked territorially very dominant and created more than enough to win the game. But a big part of Arsenal's success in this game, and why I'm so praising this performance, is because of how good we were defensively. And it's almost like it's give and take. It's like, well, we could have maybe created enough chances to score 4 or 5 goals, but would we have conceded more chances the other way?
Correct.
In this, we didn't create quite as much, but we allowed nothing. So the balance was, there's a better net kind of dominance, if that exists. I'm making things up now, people. And one of the ways we did that, firstly, we nullified one of their big threats. And I love this stat here I'm going to read out. Arsenal conceded their first corner of the game in the 72nd minute. I remember really noticing that in the watch along. Everton had a total of 7 corners in last year's game. They were a real threat for it. They actually scored for it, but we saw all game Arsenal weren't dealing with it. It felt inevitable that Tarkowski was going to get that goal. Everton crossed the ball 24 times last season in the game at Goodison Park, but on Sunday only managed 5 crosses all game. We totally and utterly stopped them doing what was such a major part of their success against us last year. We learned about that, and I think a big part was because of the defending we did on the pitch. And I think it was because we were, again, if I just move everyone forward really quickly, I think it's because we did a lot of our defending in these central areas where Arsenal are playing. But Zinni was happy to tuck in here and try win the ball there. White was in the recovery, staying quite tight. And these 3, I thought, did really well to just recover and support each other and ensure that they couldn't get out too quickly when someone like Beto was trying to counter, when Decore was trying to drive, McNeil was coming inside, whoever it was. But they did really well to shield. But then you made a fantastic point. I'm just going to let you run away with it and make it. It's this, on the average position map, which it teaches us a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're setting up with a back 4 and a midfield 5. So they're set up with 9 players in that defensive structure and just Beto going forwards. And so you're expecting them to be, you know, what we've done is we've really compacted them. You know, they've got a wide midfield 5 and they've got these 2 wingers that they want to be getting on the board running at us, and they've got Decore and Onana that can run at us as well. If you look at our mid-average position, we're getting so wide, and look how deep Saliba and Gabriel are here just to recycle and recover. When we can't create something, we're more than happy to recycle and recover because there's no pressure on them here at all. And what we do with our fullbacks tucking in is really, really suffocate that Everton defence, push them back, push them back, push them back. So even if they do win the ball, when we were much more tidy with the ball than we were at Goodison back in February, I've got some stats on that as well. But if we do make a mistake, okay, they go to Beto, he's a big physical guy, but that's really the only out ball they've got. What we're not allowing them to do is Onana picking up the ball and driving at us and causing all types of problems. There was none of that. I think Decore had one run that I remember where he ran through. I think he got past White, ran through, and then, you know, we defended it well. The attack broke down, and then we went back. And again, more stuff about the evolution of this team. You know, I got stats on losing the ball. I think last time we played them at Goodison, Partey played 60 minutes in the 6th position, lost the ball 7 times. He was replaced by Jorginho, who lost the ball 6 times. And Granit Xhaka lost the ball 16 times, unforced errors. Declan Rice played 95 minutes and lost the ball 6 times. You know, so that's way, way less. So we were much more tidy than we were. And Partey is a great player. All of those players from February are really, really good players. But Rice is so sensible. And people talk about he doesn't play forward passes, which is just not true. But he's very, very conservative and sensible when we need to be. And then going forward and exploding when we need to be as well. And it's a really mature performance. And there will be times when we can suffocate teams and grind out a 1-0, and then there'll be other days where we're free flowing and we can score 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
But I think it was a really, really mature performance because of this, and this just shows it.
I completely agree, and I could talk for hours about looking at Zinchenko's average position, inverting there, and what it does to their side of the midfield, incredibly narrow. You know, how can you cross balls from this area of the pitch?
Yeah, and they're very lucky. I mean, Martinelli's not here. Trossard is more of a ball playing player.
Yeah.
He's going to play in this type of space here. He's not going to go out on the outside, but if he does go on the outside, it's going to cause all sorts of problems for Everton because they're just squeezed so narrow.
I completely agree, and a big part of why Beto didn't get that service again, because look what they're having to do, and it goes back to that Zinchenko interview with Rio Ferdinand where he said, "What would you do?" And Rio Ferdinand said, "Well, if you were inverting, I would leave you."
I'd leave you.
And Everton clearly didn't feel that was an option but then they still couldn't get near him. So, it's such a tactical headache for teams, especially when you get on the ball. But again, what were we just mentioning a second ago about how that midfield is supported by the cover, and you got it there, and Zinchenko, Rice and White, who just were that layer in front of the centre-backs, allowing the front five to go and enjoy themselves.
Any player with this type of ability, White as well, but especially Zinchenko and Declan Rice, who are specifically very, very good on the ball.
Yeah.
They're going to, if Rio Ferdinand says, "I'm going to leave you and let you play," these guys are top Premier League players, some of the most technical players in the world. If you give them time and space, they're going to punish you repeatedly and repeatedly.
Completely and utterly agree. Let's just go through very quickly some of Declan Rice's numbers. In the 90 minutes, he had 98 touches with a 93% pass accuracy on his passing, 1 key pass, 5 long balls, 3 dribbles with a 100% success rate, 6 ground duels won. He was fantastic. 2 interceptions as well. Great stats that you gave about the midfield and how much more technically secure they were in this game. Gave us a foundation to play. Ødegaard's numbers, I thought he was brilliant as well. In the 90 minutes played, a 90% pass accuracy, 24 out of 27 attacking third passes completed, 2 take-ons, 4 out of 5 passes in the pen area, and 3 chances created as well. He was brilliant, Martin Ødegaard, and really grew into it more and more as it went on. And we haven't really done the whole goalkeeping conversation yet, so we'll just end on it for this show. Where's the lineup? Here we go. So David Raya comes in. And the conversation is like, whoa, okay, this is brave. And Arteta then doubles down. He's not just, rotating goalkeepers. He goes, "I'm a really young manager and I have a few regrets for what I've done. One of them, in 2 occasions, I felt after 60 minutes to 85 minutes to change the keeper in that moment." So he has gone on record now and said, forget just one day Raya plays, one day Ramsdale plays. In fact, forget maybe Raya is suited for this match, Ramsdale suited for that. I'll go one further than all that and tell you, I think both keepers can contribute to the same game.
Yeah.
Is he reinventing football, or is he a lunatic?
I do think there's a small element of PR there. We know Arteta's a bit crazy, but I think there's an element of PR. It's a little bit of he's built a really good relationship with Aaron Ramsdale, and Ramsdale may feel a little bit betrayed. So it's good man management to say, "Trust me, you're going to be involved. You may even be involved in the same game just to keep everybody's morale really high, because that's what you need to do when you bring in new players. Keep them on their toes. But it's not beyond the realms of possibility. He is such an unpredictable manager. He wants the squad. We had Tierney and Zinchenko, which we both thought were 2 top left backs in the Premier League, and then we went and got another left back. We've got Ben White, we've got Tomiyasu. We're always buying players in positions that we think that we've already got these players in.
It's true. It's true.
Right. and there's something a little bit different there. We've got Nketiah and Jesus. That's our striking department. Then we go and get Trossard. I know he was meant to come in more as a replacement winger for the failed Mudryk move, but now he's getting goals from central positions as well, so he could be a striker. Then we all want another number 8. We go and get Havertz. We play Man City, who's a bogey team. Havertz goes up top. We actually go and get the win. So he's very, very tactically flexible. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility at all for him to notice things in the way that teams play in different moments and different parts of the game, and use different personnel for that. And the goalkeeper, he sees football as just football. You should be able to play. A lot of the old school mentality he throws out the window completely. We've seen it with Saka, where people are talking about him being run into the ground. He just said, "Listen, you want to be a top player, you've got to play 50 games a year. That's what it is. That's the nature of being a top player. Get out there and play." And Saka rises to the occasion. So I think it could be a really, really good move. We've got a lot of games coming up. We want to be competitive on all fronts, and so they need game time.
Yeah, I completely and utterly agree, and they're getting it. And You know, we're back at it at the Emirates this week. PSV, there will be a tactical insight on the PSV Champions League game. The first time that we're bringing tactical insight outside of just Premier League action. So looking forward to that. And although we did do the Community Shield, it's a big game. Can you blame me? And then, of course, the North London Derby as well. Nick will be back for a lot of these as well. Nick, you have been absolutely fantastic. Big thank you for joining me. If you want to know more about the David Raya stuff and where he fits into the team, the Ramsdale, all this dynamic, there is an In Focus. We'll put the link in the description below on David Raya, what he brings. Maybe that will help us help us understand a little bit what Arteta means when he talks about making in-game subs on goalkeepers, rotating for different oppositions. But yeah, Nick has been fantastic. Pleasure having you. Graham, hope you're having an amazing holiday. We look forward to having you back as well. Everyone, hope you enjoyed the show. Get in the comment sections, let us know your thoughts. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel and get ready for an action-packed week of Arsenal, which means an action-packed week of Tactical Insight. We'll see you soon.